All right, Ellie Vaisman, thank you very much for joining me today, co-founder of Sourci and all-round good dude. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks very much for having me, James. Thank you.
Of course, man. Where to start? We're in your beautiful South Yarra office here. It's been a bit of a journey to get here, I think, with Sourci, but I was hoping to just start a little bit on your background story. Like, what were you doing before Sourci, before all this stuff you've been working on today? What's your background story?
Yeah, for sure. I guess how deep do we want to go into the background?
Let's go professional.
Professionally. So I've been working since a very early age. So I worked since I was 8 years old. I think it taught me a lot.
That sounds illegal.
Yeah, well, it could be, but the old paper round obviously isn't too bad. Yeah. I've worked, ever since I was 8. Professionally, I was working in sales before this for a volume builder. So I was working in new home sales, selling homeland packages, helping people to buy their first home. And I've done quite a few other sales jobs prior to that. One of my earlier sales, or my first sales job, was when I was 16 in a call center. I think the typical selling power or energy, that kind of thing. So and gas. So I think that teaches you a hell of a lot working in a high pressure sales environment.
Yeah. Were you always naturally drawn to sales, or was it something you just kind of fell into?
Look, I think so. Yeah. Look, I love sales just simply because you're put in the driver's seat of your own income. You get to control how much you earn. You get to control the output of your work. You only get out what you put in. Yeah.
That's a really good point, because we were talking about it before about incentives for employees, and it's like if someone just gets paid an hourly rate, it's like no matter how much they do, how much effort they put in, they get a fixed return. But sales is one of those few jobs where it's like you basically get out what you put in, and some people don't like that because you're kind of responsible for your output. But I think if you're good at it and you can make it work, then it can be very lucrative. So it's a good foundation. But were you always kind of entrepreneurial, or were you always trying to start businesses when you were a kid, or like were you always just a salesman?
Yes. No, I was very, I guess I was entrepreneurial. I always looked at things quite differently. I come from a European upbringing. My family are migrants. And so I always...
From where?
We're from Latvia. So
cool.
Pretty much Russia. It was all the same place back when I was born, when we migrated. So I was born over there, but came here as a baby, so grew up here. But I feel like it gave me a really good perspective. And so I always kind of saw things differently or questioned why things were the way they were. And so, I did try to start a couple of ventures or projects, and I had failures in those. But I don't see them as failures. I think that it was really, really good experiences it taught me in life. So,
what were some of they?
So I guess the first one was I tried to start an activewear label. I didn't get very far, and I guess we'll get into this a little bit further down the track of how Sourci came to be. And another one was a pre-made meals delivery service. I did all the branding. I got to a certain stage and then kind of pulled out. But
was that before Uber Eats? Or?
Yeah, definitely before Uber Eats. So it was more for the fitness and the bodybuilding. You know how you get your homemade pre-packed meals. It was more to service that market. Before there were really a lot of these U-Foods or home delivered meal options. So it was at that time. It was actually a good time to start it.
What happened with that one?
Look, I got through to I guess I wasn't ready enough. I got all the branding, got everything set up. I got to the point of getting a website done, and I had a meeting with this guy. I would have been 19 years old, or 20 years old. And I had a meeting with a guy who was going to set up the website and the marketing, and he goes, "Where are you at? Tell me about your plan." I had a business plan. I had a logo that I'd gotten done off one of those online marketplaces, but he just kind of said to me at the end of it, he goes, "Look, I love what you're doing. I love your passion, but you're just not there yet. You're not ready." And it was a real blessing, because it's like I could have gone down that path so far before I realised that I just wasn't mature or ready yet to be able to create a business and run it like that. So, but it did give me that experience, like I said, of learning, planning a business and looking at the market and seeing what everyone else is doing. So,
What was, I guess, what was the difference in terms of, like, where were you lacking? Was it literally just experience of, or just general maturity, or like, what do you think was actually missing at that point in time that was stopping you from succeeding in that business?
I don't really know. I think it was a few factors, but like, because I've always just been like so ambitious, get a good idea and just vibe off it like crazy. You just go with it. But I was really grateful for the fact that somebody who was a lot more mature than me, a lot older than me, helped with a lot of other businesses. He, you know, I was really grateful that he said to me, "Hey, you're probably not ready. Like, you should, you know, maybe take a bit more time to figure out what you want to do." So I didn't have, you know, I probably had $15,000 to start that business, and it probably wouldn't have been enough. And so I'm actually really grateful that I didn't go too far down that path. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. There was another business that I set up and ran, and it went for a long time. But it just wasn't so successful fundamentally as well. That was in property. So I'd gathered a team. There were three of us, and we set up a property development site acquisitions business. So we'd go out and help to acquire and lock up development sites.
What made you get into that?
From flying out to Queensland, somebody invited me up to Queensland to go see a seminar, like a self-development seminar that turned out to be for a property development course. And God, that opened my eyes like crazy. You know, I was very fortunate to do that at such a young age. Really big fan of self-development, and like those seminars and that kind of non-conventional education into life and money and finance. Yeah,
it's funny because I like really value education. Like, it's one of my top values and something that I really value. But when I think of it, I don't really think of it in the traditional sense of education, because I've done that. Like, I've gone through traditional school, gone through university, all that stuff. And to some people, that's like education. That's like the gold standard. But to me, it's like, yes, these things help and they're good, but it's like, how else are you educating yourself outside of what that formal structure? Because a lot of the time, that's when you're actually going to get the best results, when it's from something that's maybe a bit left of field or a bit unconventional. So.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I think, you know, I guess it's quite controversial, but there are a lot of fundamental problems with the way that people are educated these days, and practical skills and life skills and money skills and things like that. So yeah, you really learn a lot from people who are up there trying to motivate you and helping you and teaching you those kind of skills.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you did some of these seminars and you kind of developed the sales skill set, and what happened for you next? Was that when you went into like property sales around that time, or was there any other sort of business ventures you tried to set up?
The property one, or the development site business, that was going on for quite a while on the side. And, you know, I guess the experience I got out of that was really good, you know, getting a team together and doing marketing from organic thinking ways, how we can, you know, talk to the right people, get in front of the right people. It taught me a lot about discipline and commitment as well. We spent 2 days a week, that was our every week, 2 days a week together, 9 to 5, having meetings, working on different things for that business.
What was your day job at the time? Were you doing something else?
So I think I carried that into another job. So that was while I was at uni, and at the same time, also when I went into working for the volume builder in my big sales job. So that was, because you work weekends in the construction in home and land sales industry, you get Thursday, Friday off. So Thursday, Fridays I was doing the property thing. So that was 7 days. That was for a good year into that before we closed that off.
Wow. Did it ever burn you out, or did you just love doing it? You always been a hard worker?
Yeah, I just loved it. I don't know. I think, you know, you've got to put in the time. You've got to put the effort in. You've got to make time for things that are important to you, to, you know, whatever it is, whether it's, you know, business related or like a hobby or poetry or art or whatever it is. Like, you got to put in the time, and if you love it, you're not really going to complain about doing it, because you know there's a reason you're doing it. Yeah.
Where did your drive come from? I'm curious, because a lot of people, I think when they find what they want to do, then maybe they find it easy to feel driven and work hard. But did you just kind of have a clear vision of what you wanted to achieve from early on, or what was really pushing you, I guess?
Yeah, I think so. I've always been really driven. It's funny. I guess I got to go quite back for that to explain, or to at least try to uncover how this drive came about. But we grew up, a migrant family. We came to this country, and my parents sacrificed a lot. We grew up quite tough in a tough environment. Obviously, there wasn't a lot of money. We didn't get all the nice things. We didn't go on holidays, all that kind of stuff. So I always saw my parents struggling, and I saw how much they gave up for us just to come here and just to live a normal life, or an amazing life compared to, I guess, in perspective to where they've been. So seeing that kind of struggle, and I mean, they're happy. They've always been happy that for them, everything that's enough. And, they were never home. They had to work, even my parents, when they got here, had to work in crazy odd jobs, like doing anything just to make extra money. And so I saw that struggle, and I guess combine that with me growing up and seeing my friends or people I went to school with who their families have lived here for generations, they're comfortable, and just seeing that contrast between struggle, I guess, and people having just a normal car, or a normal car with power windows, or a house that's not 50 years old, or we grew up in flats and commission housing at the start, and I saw my parents save up and buy a home, and I was probably 10 years old by the time that happened, or a little bit older. So, and I saw them chained to their mortgage, and they still are, obviously. And for me, I just thought, you learn a lot by having these desires in life, seeing what you want, but you also learn a lot by seeing what you don't want and what you don't want to put your family through, or I guess, your children. So drive comes from there. Seeing how others can easily succeed, and seeing how easily you can, if you don't work hard, you can kind of always just live a pretty average life. And that's good for some. I mean, everybody's got their own desires.
Yeah, I get it, man. And it seems to be a common story for immigrant families, I think, because I have a lot of friends who come from other places, and it's just, it really does seem to light that drive, because for someone like me, I was born here, and there's only so much. I try to feel grateful and appreciate it every day. And we were talking about it before in the car, such a good country to be in, and me being born here is amazing blessing. And I guess when you actually see firsthand how difficult it can be and how hard you have to work to overcome your circumstances, being born somewhere else and coming here, I guess that really would light a fire under your ass to just do everything you can do to make the most of it, I guess.
Absolutely. And we're so lucky to live in this country. And a lot of people don't realize it. And they're complacent and content, and it's great because you can live a comfortable life here by doing stuff you really can, and it is great. But also coming from seeing how hard it can be elsewhere, and it's life's short. It makes me realize I want to make the most of being here. And I guess a big part of my story is I went down the wrong path for a number of years. So I grew up, I was the cheekiest kid. I was always in trouble. I'd get caught up with the wrong people, get in trouble, at school, being suspended, being an absolute nuisance.
I saw an Instagram photo of you out in front of some courthouse somewhere from 10 years ago.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. No. Actually, I know that photo. I've got a suit, and I've got my baseball, a basketball cap on sideways. Thank God I didn't wear that into court, most likely. But I was just taking the piss a lot of the time, and I had, I guess, a turning point for all this. I was going down a really bad path, and I knew it, and I knew I was better than that. And then I actually got to the point where I'd gotten arrested, gotten in trouble with the law, and it was pretty serious. And I see the disappointment in my parents as well, because they'd given me this life, and they'd come here and sacrifice so much. And I just hit a point where I was like, you know what? if I keep doing this, I'm just going to not be a waste of all that, effort, but I'm just not going to achieve everything I want to do. I'm not going to make them proud. And I'd always had ambitions, but I was going down a bad path. And so I guess that was a turning point. I said, I'm going to change everything.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I think we all have to have some form of rock bottom moment, I think, where we actually like get perspective on what we're doing and realize that maybe it's not the right path. And it sounds like that was a big turning point for you. So
yeah, it really was, like a close shave. And you need a big slap in the face to realize, I think I was 20 years old or 21 or, around that very early 20s. And so it was like, if I keep doing this, then I'm really not going to get to where I want to get to in my life. And, I was in some pretty bad places. And so, I from there just thought, right, everything changes. I've had my fun, 18, have fun, do whatever, waste time and all that sort of stuff. But I've had my fun and let's make it all count. And so, since then I got myself out of the country. I went and travelled, which is one of the best things you can do. One of the best educations you can have is just go and travel the world. And that experience of saving money to travel and then like achieving that savings goal and then, flying somewhere and spending months and months away, teaches you so much. Plus all the experiences you get there, you get real perspective, visiting other countries for sure.
It's the main thing, huh?
Yeah.
That perspective shift that you get.
Yeah. You just come back different. Like you do. You see the world differently and it's all for the better. So, from then on, changed everything.
Love that. That's cool. And so I guess your first main career job, I guess, was at Metricon, was it? The home sale?
Yep.
So, how did that go? Like, did you just hit the ground running of that? Did you find success in that role? How did you find that whole experience?
Yeah, it was interesting. I took the job with Metricon through a recruiting company, and I thought, I don't want to be in that real estate kind of, you wear a suit, you got that kind of look about you. And I thought, I'll just go to going back a step, I was like, I'll just go to the interview. I went there and I was like, yeah, great. You can actually make quite good money here if you perform. And for me, money was always a big driver, particularly just starting off my career. I always had big goals. So it's one of the quickest ways to get to those goals. I took the job at Metricon and I started out there, picked it up. Yeah, I feel like I picked it up. Like took a little bit of time to get into the groove, and I took a really different approach to the sales. Like I'm not a very big, again, I don't like that salesperson stigma. I found a really good groove where I was just helping people to purchase in a way, like educating and really just caring about their position. And I found huge success in that. Absolutely, yeah. Did really well.
That's amazing.
in that job. And Metricon's a great company, and it is a really fun lifestyle, that type of career.
What do you think? What were you doing differently to most other people to become a sort of top performer? Was it really just that more like consultative sales approach, and other people were just trying to like hard close or like not really helping the customers? Was that the main difference? Or
yeah, I think it is. I think particularly when you're people facing or customer facing and you're in sales, it's all the little things that add up. The 1%ers, the little things that you do, not when everyone's watching or not when you're with the client or customer or whatever. It's just a combination. It's everything that you do. It's the follow-ups, following up and doing what you say you're going to do, checking in. Like one of the most powerful tips I can give anyone in sales is, when you've had a conversation or a good pitch or, good meeting with a client or a prospect, follow up that same day, a few hours later, just to check in and see, literally tell them to courtesy call just to see how they're going and if everything made sense. And that makes a huge difference because, they go, I got that guy or girl's not just selling to me, they actually care.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just a combination of the little things, and like it all adds up. It really does.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's amazing, man. So I want to talk about how, I guess, you transitioned into your own thing, which was Sourci, your next project. So yeah, what happened there? Like, were you unfulfilled in your job at Metricon, or was this just a opportunity that came up, like how did that sort of transition happen to Sourci? Where did it even come from?
Still ask myself the same question, Chase. It's funny because it was the most unlikely thing to happen. I'll be honest, I was at the top of my career with Metricon in the new home sales field. I was getting awards. Like it was highly accoladed. Income was just growing, and it was actually, exponentially getting to that point where I was like, I'm finally going to be at that income level that's really going to help me achieve all my goals, and it's really going to propel me forward. So it was probably the worst time to leave, but I think, I don't know, I believe in that. Like, I feel like I was fulfilled. Like, it got to a point where it wasn't challenging, and I was in a really good groove. And I think I was getting into a mindset where I really loved doing bold things, like things that actually scare me. And I feel like I've conditioned myself, and it's probably a psychological thing. I've conditioned myself to just do things that scare me, and I think that really helps.
Yeah. So I guess you were comfortable, you were making good money, and it was like everything was flowing nicely, but in a way that some people say it's a good thing, but in a way you saw it as a bad thing because you just got really comfortable and you wanted to do something bold.
Yeah, I think, exactly. I think I almost, like, it's silly to say or silly to feel like that, but I felt like I'd conquered it, even though it was just starting. Like, the wheels were the momentum, everything was just spinning, and it was, there was probably a long way to go, but it was 2 years in that role. And I think I probably couldn't see a lot of progression in that role as well. And I thought, working weekends, it was a weekend job, mostly all the hard work's on the weekends, both Saturday and Sunday, sitting in a display home. So my personal life probably was suffering a little bit. I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking. And I think the best things in life happen when you're not looking. I wasn't looking for jobs.
I believe that. Yeah, I'm just curious so you were in this sort of comfortable position and you weren't looking for something, but then obviously now you are doing something else with Sourci. So where did that opportunity come from? Did it just come out of the blue, or did you think of an idea, or how'd that really play out?
Yeah, I think it came as a result of a lot of things lining up, and from, I guess, a few experiences in my life as well. Prior to that, all just sort of led up to it, and it all just sort of fell into place. So Giovanni, who's a co-founder of the company, it was actually he had this idea that he told me about, just like socializing. He just came across, he told me about this concept for Sourci, as it was in its infancy. And Giovanni's a guy that I'd gone to school with. We'd had similar social circles, and he actually had a company. He had another business, for years leading up to that, for quite a few years. So I really respected him, because it's funny, as if he'd achieved something that I couldn't, that I'd almost failed at a few times in starting up ideas and then just kind of getting too bogged down and then not working out. So, one, I really respected him, and two, the idea that he told me about, just in conversation, again, socializing, it really resonated with me. It really, really resonated with me. And I just thought, that's something that the world really needs.
Yeah. What was that idea?
So, what Sourci does is we help Australian and New Zealand-based businesses connect with manufacturers overseas across Asia. And so the idea was just to lend a helping hand and to guide business owners and entrepreneurs to really find really great manufacturers overseas for their products. So that's like e-commerce or, really any product-based business.
Yep.
And I'd had that experience myself in the activewear label. I'd logged on to this online platform called Alibaba. I'm sure you've heard of it. I had this great idea for this clothing and how to brand it and label it and how it should be and how it should look. And I found a supplier online and went through all of this broken English communication, this whole process to get these samples made, gave them all the sizing, the measurements, the logos, and like it just turned out the samples that came really let me down. And like I had this great idea and I was really excited, but then what happened when I got the product, the sample, the prototype, I just gave up. Like I just threw my idea out the door because I was like, this is too hard. It's like it's just too hard to figure out to get it right. And I thought, if that's happened to me, how many other people out there have had these great ideas, been so inspired, and then just given up on their idea because there's that gap that just couldn't be filled with the communication side and actually getting what they got in their minds brought to life.
I get it. Yeah, it's like, because I've done something similar. I've gone through Alibaba and got a product manufactured, and it sounds, that's the thing, like when you say it, like it sounds kind of simple. It's like, go into this marketplace, find a supplier, get samples, make the product. Like it sounds easy, but when you actually do it, you realize there's all these hurdles. Like, the language barrier is one. People aren't always who they say they are on the website. The quality varies a lot. It's very like hard to have like accountability, and like it's a big mess. And so when you actually try to do it, I think you see that problem. And like I saw that as well. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. So so I guess having that experience, and that's interesting because I find that's a common thing. Like with a lot of entrepreneurs, it's like they experience a problem themselves, and then they see a solution, or they see a potential solution, and then see that no one else has done it, and then they see an opportunity to then execute on it and be that solution. So it sounds like that was kind of what you did with Sourci. Yeah,
absolutely. That's exactly right. And we just thought that we both got our heads together, and we just thought, if we're having this experience, and he'd spent, I probably should note, he in his business, which supplied print products like banners and signage and flags and all sorts of stuff, they'd sometimes have to go overseas and use Alibaba and buy things online. And, he'd had a lot of close shaves, like a lot of close calls, and things had come wrong. And we started doing a bit of market research, and we realized that there are companies, like big corporates across Australia, like big companies with, millions of dollars of turnover, who were posting online on Alibaba to try and find a manufacturer for their millions of dollars worth of supply chain that's like their core product. And we're like, that's a nail in the coffin. Like that is, we have to bridge that gap and provide a solution, because if you're rolling the dice every time you're ordering a product and you don't know who you're dealing with, it can be catastrophic.
Yeah, that's a big opportunity that you spotted. So I guess what gave you the confidence then to go all in? Because, well, maybe you can tell us what you did, because as far as I understand, this wasn't like a side project that you just did on the weekends or your Thursday and Friday. This was something you went all in on. So what kind of gave you the confidence to leave that comfy job with the high salary to start Sourci?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I saw the potential in it. More than anything, it was like the opportunity cost wouldn't have been huge, but I didn't want to. I tried all these things in my life that I didn't quite get to see to fruition, and I just thought, this is got to be it. It's so much scope out there for a company to be able to help importing pretty much anything, and connecting the dots, and there's a lot of value there. But I just didn't entrepreneurially. I did not want to always think what if and not do it. So as soon as I got the idea, it just clung on. It was a financially foolish situation, a bad decision financially for quite a while there. But I just didn't want to be always asking myself, what if I did that business, or what if we tried that? What it could have been.
Yeah, it's like the whole idea of like regret minimization. Like, how do you make your decisions based on minimizing your potential for regret in the future? It's like, you could have stayed at that job and made a lot of money in the short term, but then you potentially would have looked back and always asked yourself, like, what if I tried that? Like, what could have happened?
Exactly. Exactly right. And I think we do that all the time. Like, a lot of people have these great ideas and they just have that doubt or that self-talk where they think, oh, it's not going to work out, don't be stupid, or I can't do that, or I can't pull that off, or and I just had this kind of like, I'm in this great position, I guess I can do it. I just don't ever want to wonder what if.
Yeah,
That's definitely.
So what were those early days like? So you you quit your job, you go from a nice comfortable income to zero and trying to start this business. So what were those early days like in Sourci? Like, how did you even know where to start? What did you prioritize at the start? How did you approach it?
Yeah, look, our biggest strength is that we had absolutely no background in international supply chain and procurement, funnily enough.
Yep.
To see where it's come to today. And I think that's our biggest strength. Obviously, it's our biggest weakness as well, because we had to learn a lot about the industry. But what we did was we looked at it really objectively and practically and thought, all right, a business in the position that they need to go overseas and find a supplier, how can we design this streamlined process that's super easy, isn't confusing, is super transparent, so they know exactly who they're dealing with. And so we just put pen to paper and just figured out this process, created a lot of documents, built a website. Like, the early days were really, really hashtag hustle kind of startup, if you want to look at, if you will, if you look at it that way. Like, we worked out of Gio's spare bedroom for a long time until he moved house and we upgraded to a dining room table. But yeah, no, it was a good year of building out processes. It was a good at least 6 months before we got our first client on board. Like, seriously, it was building out websites, because we got into an industry there's no like proven template for it. There's no like, we're not an accountant, we're not a lawyer or a mechanic or whatever that you can just look at 50 other businesses and figure out how they do it.
Yep.
We just had to figure out this whole thing from scratch. And yeah, it was like a good year of just finding our feet and actually learning what our position is, what our value point is. Yeah.
What were you expecting it to take 6 months to get your first client, or were you kind of hoping that you'd start getting revenue in the door right away? Like, did that give you any sleepless nights, or was that what you were expecting?
I'll actually just correct that. It was 6 months before I got our first client, but I was still working. We were building this out on the side when I was working at Metricon.
Got it.
So it was, I think we got our first client and I was like, right, this works. Let's dive right in and just sink or swim. So
got it.
Full-time commitment was when we'd already had a paying client on board. Obviously, it wouldn't be running it profitable. Yep. There's no way. But yeah, I think it just takes that much time, particularly when you're offering something completely new. That's the whole thing. It's the hardest thing about what we've done. You're offering something that, you kind of got to educate people about what you do first, and then, and why they need it or how it's going to help, because the industry that we've disrupted is something that's been around for hundreds of years, or like, people don't really understand that a service like ours exists. And when they do, when they're the right type of progressive business person that sees what we do and understands the value it brings, it's just like a no-brainer for them. Yeah,
that's right. So, because I guess, can you maybe just explain for the people listening, like, what is the true value prop? Because some people might look at a business like yours and say, yeah, okay, you're a sourcing agent, or you help people find manufacturers, but I'm happy to do that myself and cut out you as like a middle person. So I guess, like, what value are you offering to your customers? If you just run through that.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a salesperson. If you let me pitch you, for sure.
Let's do it.
No, look, I guess the value proposition is we help businesses achieve what they want to achieve a lot quicker. We help them get a better product developed. Sometimes businesses or entrepreneurs will take a year or 2 years or 3 years to get their product perfected. We can do that in a matter of months. We're a full-time team working on that. So we go out and we're fully transparent. So businesses come to us with an idea or a product they're already procuring. They're already selling to the market, or entrepreneurs come to us with a brand new idea, like inventors, come to us with a concept. And so we'll go out there, and we have offices in China. We have 2 offices in China now. We're also in India, in Vietnam, in Sri Lanka, and Indonesia as well. So we've got a huge reach. We have people in that country go out and approach 50 factories that are already making the product that they want, or a similar product, or have the capability to manufacture that product. And we find the ultimate factory out of those 50, and connecting with it, help them develop the product, help them do quality checks, audits, all sorts of different stuff. But I guess the benefit of that is we're going to help them bring their products to life heaps quicker. We're going to save them money. Like, the biggest thing is there's no point using us if you're not going to save money. We always result in a net cost saving. So people pay us to do something they think they can do, or they can probably pull off, but just nowhere near as effectively. So, you'll find that, and I guess a lot of people who are in importing would understand, or in e-commerce would understand, like, you get defects, you get your products that they're not perfect, they're not 100% what you want them to be. That results in, lower customer satisfaction, your poorer reputation, lower uptake of, replenishment or reorders, that kind of thing. So we just save businesses a whole lot of money, negotiate better terms, get better products, get it in quicker. And what it does, I think one of the biggest value points, and people always just look at money, like people always think, how much are you going to save me? I can do this myself. When you look at, yes, we're going to save you money. Yes, we're going to get you a better product. If you multiply those two things together, they kind of compound really well. But the other thing we do is we save people a hell of a lot of time, where they don't have to bang their head against the wall because things have gone wrong, because we're just doing it all day, every day.
Yes.
So that time particularly for an entrepreneur who's, in a small business, you'd call it, or an e-commerce business, there's only a few people in that team. You wear a lot of hats. Yeah. Having all that, 6 months of time back in product development and being able to focus on the bigger picture things, the things that really move the needle, that provides so much value. It's really immeasurable. So if you've got all your time back from not having to deal with overseas factories, supply chain and freight and product issues, you can then just pull different levers and just focus on your sales, or focus on your marketing, your distribution, or just your relationships. And I think entrepreneurs particularly, they shouldn't be bogged down with all those difficult things, I guess, that we take care of and do for them. They should be thinking at that high level and figuring out how they can just grow their business. Yeah.
I so get that, because it's one thing, and that's the thing that is most interesting to me, is that, you make it easier and less friction and quicker, which is great. But then it's the fact that you actually have like these relationships with some of these suppliers, so you can actually negotiate better terms. So even though, sure, you've got a cut, you're actually, the net cost is less for the business owner, because in some cases, because they're getting better terms than they'd be able to negotiate on their own. So it makes sense.
Oh, we see so many. It's a shame that on a website, because what we do is we work with a lot of businesses who are amazing and leaders in their field and in their different product consumer categories, and there's a lot of kind of intellectual property there, or privacy. So we can't really give out all the case studies or the businesses that we work with. But if I could tell you some of the stories, or the savings or the impacts, like we've got companies that we work with that they've been buying from China for years. They think they're dealing with a factory. We go out there and very quickly figure out they're actually buying from a trading company. Someone who's in their kitchen in a bathrobe, just saying, "Yeah, sure, Robert, let me check the production facility." They ring a factory, and it's all kind of, there's too many hands in it, and like they're not buying direct. There's margins being built in there. What we do is we just cut through all that crap, connect people directly with the factory. And it's really important to note that we connect our clients directly with the manufacturer and just manage that relationship.
Yes.
They can do as much or as little as they want. They know exactly who they're working with. They can build a relationship. I know a lot of people work with trading companies. You don't actually have a relationship with the end producer of the product. You don't know where it's being made. You don't know what they're doing with your product as well. They could be making twice as much and selling it somewhere else. You've got to go direct to the factory if you're serious about importing.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. So I'm interested in some of the initial challenges, like when you were first trying to get things up and running, like maybe before you had your first paying client, or even after that, just like what were some of the main challenges with growing the business initially?
It was actually a point where we weren't confident in what in a sense we rejigged our entire. We actually changed the name of our company. and built a new website because we thought Sourci, because the company Sourci, it's really fun, it's playful, like the visual, the graph, the way the website looks, it is just fun and cute in that way. And we thought we really want to connect with big businesses and, you know, there's corporates that are obviously spending a lot more money that we can make the biggest percentage impact to their bottom line. So we changed the brand to a company, and we named it Procurement. It's very kind of conventional and traditional. We thought we'd attract there. But we very quickly did a 180 on that after just a couple of months. So that was one of the things. We just, you know, because again, the biggest challenge when you're doing something totally disruptive is this the best way to do it? You know, like, is there a better way to do it? And you're kind of always questioning yourself. As far as other challenges, like, we had to learn procurement supply chain back to front. We had to learn how to deal with different cultures, you know. Hiring staff, like, I love all of those things though. Like, these are all really amazing lessons and experiences to have, you know, hiring staff, growing a team, you know, like all that HR stuff, all that cultural differences, you know, we're flying to China and learning how they do things, and like, it's all exciting. I love every aspect of it. There's never a part of what I do wearing so many different hats where I think I don't like this bit. Yeah. Because it's all just, you're growing from all of it. Even like having to let go of stuff, even like that, it's such a difficult thing to do because, you know, like, I love people. I just love relationships. But even doing things that you don't necessarily enjoy, I just find I grow from it so much, you know? Yeah.
So it's like, there's challenging things, but you kind of approach it in a way where it's like, they're all blessings in a way because they help you. They maximize your growth.
You gotta do things. The biggest thing is you just gotta do things that scare the shit out of you. Yeah. Honestly, and I guess that's what I contribute a lot of where I've gotten to in life is just doing stuff that absolutely scares, like making bold moves. I guess just back to the question, I probably should give an example, like, or be a bit more specific. You know, having products, you know, helping produce or manufacture products in a factory in China. I won't be specific, but like, you know, you do a quality check on a product and it's, you know, $20,000-$30,000 worth of product and it's half of it's wrong, you know, or something's the wrong color, you know, like, we have had experiences like that where we've had to be really agile and, you know, work around the clock and fix them. And, you know, that's our client's product, something like that. And that's a mix up. By no means is it our fault, but it's something that we have to fix, you know, where factory's gotten something wrong, and working out a very diplomatic way to be respectful to the suppliers overseas, but also tell them that they got to get that shit fixed really quickly. So a lot of like kind of panicky moments, but nothing that we haven't been able to fix. And I think, again, just talk to the value of what we provide is that if something goes wrong with a factory overseas and you're just one person sitting on a computer talking to them from here on Alibaba or talking to them on WhatsApp or whatever, something goes wrong, you've got really no position of power. But if you've got us on board and you've got somebody who's in that same country, who's built a relationship with them, that can pop in and visit their factory and say, hey, we've got to fix these guys. Like, we've got to figure this stuff out. Like, you've got a lot more power. Yes. You know, and they take you a lot more seriously as well when you've got an entire supply chain company with offices in their own country. They know you're doing things seriously, so they're held a lot more accountable. Yeah,
I believe that. It's like, you know, just old mum and dad in the basement, like just trying to get some e-commerce brand off the ground. You actually have clout, which they will respect and, you know, do more to deliver.
So, absolutely, yeah. It's really good. And I think the biggest part of what we do is we help small businesses. We help that mum and dad. You know, there's entrepreneurs that anybody who has an ambition to import a product and want to have a really good product, not do something cheap and unbranded and generic like drop shipping or some styles of drop shipping. We provide that sourcing and procurement experience that only a big department store can get, with teams flying across countries and also like a Bunnings, you know, they go out and buy stuff, they visit the factory. We provide that same service to like little mum and dad business where they just want to sell socks or clothing or furniture.
It's amazing. And so I guess, so you mentioned at the start it was like hard to, I guess there was a lot of that education piece in your marketing just to try and really show the value of what you could offer, and it was something quite new, which is always a challenge. So I guess, was there a point where there was that real tipping point where you said to yourself, like you and Giovanni were just like, yeah, okay, this is like starting to work, we're starting to get traction? Was there a point like that, or was it just like a gradual over time?
Yeah, I don't know. I still kind of look back and pinch myself over, well, you know, where it's getting to and where it's gotten to and how quickly the momentum is. It's funny. I used to be really motivated by money and income and all that kind of stuff. And it's funny, as soon as I left my last job, everything changed. And so I wasn't really looking at the numbers, and it was more about the people and the impact. But was there a point where, yeah, I think just every day pinching is like not every day, but like every week or month, you look at the numbers, you look at the caliber of clients you're bringing on board, you know, and it just becomes a reality. Like at the start, you're like, you just can't believe that a business of this size would want to talk to you or engage your services, and then you do that, and then it just keeps getting bigger and better. And I think it's a really gradual thing, and before you know it, like the numbers are bigger, like there's more zeros, or there's, you know, like, but
where do they come? Like, because you have some clients on your website like Bunnings and some other big brands that people would recognize. So I'm just curious, like, where did they come from? Like, how did you get in touch with them? Did you approach them, or where do those customers come from?
Yeah, so we don't supply to Bunnings. Like, they're not a direct client of ours. Really, it's brands that we work with that engage us. Their products are sold to Bunnings. So we're like a behind-the-scenes secret weapon for a lot of businesses. So we're not right out there, but
still, yeah. Did those clients approach you, or did you go out and get them, or how did that sort of work?
Yeah, so we get majority of our work from inbound inquiry. You know, we realise that, and every business is different. Sometimes you've got to be really out there with your marketing, but we realise that, you know, our service is only something you need when you really need it.
Yeah,
just to,
I know you mean.
You know, like, it's all good and great offering a great service, but if somebody doesn't need that, they're really not going to engage you for it. But yes. I got to take my hat off to Giovanni. He's an incredible marketer. Like, he's amazing at setting up ad campaigns and like social media marketing, and all of our inquiry comes from ads, digital ad spend. So all digital, and it's really, we're just front and center when somebody needs our service. So it's still, they're searching for a sourcing agent or a manufacturer, or, you know, a bunch of different keywords, but people come to us and we service them. Yeah,
it's amazing. That's how you want it to be.
Yeah, well, it's different for every business. You know, if you're in retail or you know, e-commerce, you kind of got to be in front of everyone all the time until they eventually buy. Yeah, and it works. I end up just buying stuff because it's just there that many times.
I get it.
But yeah, when you need it, when you need the service and you're front and somebody's front and center, that's when it works best.
Yeah, I get it. Especially for something like you, because you can't really. It's the wrong timing for a business. Like, they're not looking to change their manufacturing processes, or they're not looking to change the suppliers or anything. You can't really do anything to convince them otherwise, but if they are looking, then you just want to make sure that you're in the mix and showing what you can do for them, and that'll be how you get them. So I totally get that. And so I'm curious just on your opinion on some like manufacturing trends, like, because it's interesting. Like, I've been involved with some manufacturing, so I kind of like look at all this kind of stuff, and, you know, it's interesting to look at China at the moment. Just you know, obviously in the past China was like the go-to to have things manufactured, but there's a lot of other countries emerging. You mentioned some before that you're working with, like India, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, all these other countries. But yeah, I guess just like, what's your opinion on, let's just say, for example, textiles as an industry? If, like, do you see any trends in manufacturing in general, or within like textile industry, away from China or any other emerging countries, or just anything you've noticed in your field?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there are trends, definitely. There are a lot of shifts in consumer demand, and we love being a part of that and being able to help facilitate that. So one huge trend I'll just note, which we love and we support the hell out of, and we practice it here as well, is sustainability. Being environmentally conscious, having eco-friendly materials or things like that in your product, whether it's whatever it is. Textiles, though, to get to your question, is we're seeing shifts of businesses moving outside of China for their supply chain, which we're really happy to help facilitate. Vietnam's an up and comer, really big. They've got great manufacturing capability. India as well. We've just opened our office there properly, and growing the team there really fast, because we are seeing a lot of inquiry for Indian products as well. And that's just natural. I think over the decades, or things are going to slightly shift, and other countries are going to show their benefits in manufacturing. There are, we help in Sri Lanka as well, which you can actually, they've got amazing capabilities to make clothing, garments, all sorts of different things, bags. You've got Sri Lanka, Vietnam, and India, which are really, really big. And I'd be looking out for the businesses that are manufacturing there now. Yep.
Cool. It's awesome. Well, it seems to all be going well. Been seeing you pop up in a lot of articles, Yahoo Finance and some other things around the internet. So it seems like, the business is growing and going well, and you've got that product market fit, which is awesome. So I'm wondering, have you celebrated your success so far in any particular way with the business, or are you just keeping your head down grinding? What's going on?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess touching on, I'll get back to that point on, success or money, all that kind of stuff. For us, money is like, from day one, it was kind of like a very back burner thought. It's for us what we love doing, because we've created something from absolute scratch and been working from a home office for so long, and finally moving out to an office and growing a team, and it just seemed like that is the most fun journey that I could ever ask for. So we're not looking at stopping or taking a look, and obviously we like to appreciate and look back on our journey, but there's still a really long way to go. We see a lot of potential in what we're doing. We're wanting to open a North America office in the next 6 months, COVID permitting. Just really growing our offices overseas and getting into more emerging markets as well, to be able to service and just be that link. We're moving offices here. We've already outgrown this Melbourne office. We've only been here for a few months. Yeah,
for the people listening, they only just moved into the South Yarra office a few months ago, and then had to take over another floor, but already outgrown that. So
yeah, we're just things are going really crazy, particularly with COVID coming on and travel being restricted. It's really shone a light on the value of our service, because you've got someone you can trust walking into a factory in another country. So that's really kind of fueled us a lot. Look, just what's next? Keep doing what we're doing, keep growing, keep adding value, keep refining our processes, and just see where it takes us. Yeah.
I love that. Keep making moves.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool, man. Well, it's kind of coming up close to an hour, so just a few rapid fire questions just to finish this off. But
sure.
You're a big reader. Have you got a favorite book or anything that's had a big impact on you?
I used to do a lot of reading. I'll be honest, over the past few years, since we started the company, every moment has been, working on the website and working on the brand and the business. So haven't been reading a lot recently, I'll just be honest, but I think I love, when I was reading a lot of books, I love self-development. I love, particularly, I like reading biographies on successful people. So like Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, or Phil Knight, about how he started Nike. Elon Musk's book, biography, Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of my biggest idols. And podcasts, like just hearing people's stories. I think for me, that's the best way to learn and to see practically how people can get to it, where they want to be.
Yeah, they're all good ones.
Yep.
And is there anything I haven't asked you, Ellie, or just anything you want to make sure you pass on to the audience here?
Pass on the audience. I think just do shit that scares you. Seriously, like live by that. Like do things like you're capable of absolutely anything. So just go out there and always be have a purpose to it. Like every day, like try to do little things to always be progressing yourself. Whether it's exercise or reading, or I mean, if you're listening to a podcast, you're already 2 steps to the way. Like, you know, you're already so far ahead of a lot of other people. So, no, just go out there, do things that make others smile. I think, like, you make people happy. There's no better feeling. In turn, makes you happy. But yeah, just go get it. Go live your best life.
Great advice. Live your best life.
That's it.
Well, what's the best way for people to connect with you, Ellie, if they want to say hello or follow the Sourci journey or connect with you directly? What's the best way?
Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, gone out like on the company's website, sourci.com.au, so www.sourci.com.au. You'll probably catch me on Instagram making an absolute fool of myself with Snapchat filters because I like to be a bit silly. Whatever. Like, I'm very generous with my time. If you just want to find my mobile number on the website and text me.
Love it.
Catch up for a coffee.
That's it. Everyone text Ellie.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, it's amazing. Sourci is a really interesting company. Like, I've obviously been following your journey for a while now because we connected a while back, and yeah, it's just cool. You solve a real problem, and it's a real win-win situation as well, where, you know, you're not just like the middleman. It's like you're doing so much more to help these businesses, like make sure they're getting the right products, getting them on time, saving them time, allowing entrepreneurs to focus on their business instead of all this sort of stuff. And you're just executing really well from what I've seen, and I'm sure you're going to keep growing and keep moving into bigger offices every few months. Yeah, I really appreciate your journey. It's been great to chat, and thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you so much. And honestly, I've never really had a chance to tell my story. You've always been reaching out to me. We've always been communicating on Instagram and stuff. I love what you're doing. You've got this amazing show. I love how curious you are, the people you talk to. So thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Honestly, it's been really, really fun.
Of course. Thank you so much.